Sacrifice is often imagined as giving something up in order to gain God's approval. Many live as though they must constantly prove their devotion through suffering, denial, guilt, or endless striving. Yet the cross revealed something greater than humanity climbing upward toward God. It revealed God coming down to humanity in love. Under the Old Covenant, sacrifices were repeated continually because they could never fully cleanse the conscience. Lambs were offered day after day, year after year. The smoke continually rose from the altar because the work was never finished. Every offering pointed forward to a greater fulfillment that was still to come. But when Christ came, he did not offer another temporary covering. He offered himself once for all. The writer of Hebrews declares that by one offering, he perfected forever those who are sanctified. The work was not partial. It was not probationary. It was complete. The cross was not the beginning of God's willingness to forgive. It was the revelation of forgiveness already flowing from his heart. When Jesus cried, "It is finished," he was not speaking poetically. The old sacrificial system had reached its conclusion. The temple, the altar, the repeated offerings, and the entire covenantal structure tied to them were approaching their end. Within that generation, Jerusalem and the temple would fall just as Jesus foretold, demonstrating publicly that the age of sacrifices had passed away. God was no longer dwelling behind a veil in a physical sanctuary made by human hands. The true dwelling place of God became his people. The separation ended. The veil was torn. Access became permanent. This changes how sacrifice is understood today. Many still think their relationship with God depends on how much they suffer for him, how much they deny themselves, or how much religious labor they perform. Yet the new covenant does not call believers to earn acceptance through continual sacrifice. It calls them to live from acceptance that has already been given. The transformation of the heart becomes the offering. Love becomes the offering. Mercy becomes the offering. Faith expressing itself through love becomes the offering. Paul wrote that believers present themselves as living sacrifices. This is not language of destruction, but of surrender to divine life. The old sacrifices died repeatedly. The new life in Christ continually lives. Instead of bringing dead offerings to an altar, God now brings living people into his grace. This means there is no need to live under guilt and fear, as though God remains distant or displeased. The sacrifice of Christ was sufficient. Nothing can be added to what has already been completed. The Father is not waiting for greater human effort before he draws near. He already drew near through Christ. He is not demanding payment where payment has already been made. He is not rebuilding what he forever brought to completion. Because of this, believers are free to live boldly, joyfully, and confidently. Generosity flows naturally from hearts that know they are loved. Forgiveness flows from those who know they have been forgiven. Compassion grows from those who understand the mercy they have received. The new covenant life is not centered on loss, but on fullness. The cross was not the triumph of death, but the triumph of life over death. The end of the old age opened the fullness of the new. And now the invitation is not to carry the burden of unfinished sacrifice, but to rest in the finished work and walk in the freedom of sons and daughters who already belong to God.